Hello and welcome back to Meraki's Method. This is going to be a really short, quick video today just to recap on our crazy combo legacy challenge that we've been doing on our live stream. We're a little bit ahead of the actual catch-ups that have been on the channel here. We've still got to catch up, but in the actual live stream, we're at the point where we're choosing heirs. So this is going to be a quick catch-up on our 3 heirs, and below in the description box there is going to be a poll, a straw poll link for you to vote on which of these 3 children you think should be the heir of this generation and take over the next generation of the Jones family. So we start out with their eldest and their only daughter, Potato Jones. This is Potato Jones. She's quite pretty. She's quite nice, quite well rounded. We haven't actually looked at her clothes or anything as an adult because they all just aged up very recently. But we're just going to look at them as people. So her lifetime aspiration is a freelance botanist. Now, if you've been with the stream for a while, you know that Sam, the founder, is a criminal, and we sort of took the notion that this freelance botanist would kind of be like growing death flowers and things like that, and sort of, you know, like a Sims version of a drugs peddler. So we kind of took it that way. So that if she becomes the heir, she's going to be the one that goes down that road. Freelance botany is the thing that she's trying to achieve. And so far, if we just check here, she's still on rank 1 of the freelance botany because it hit winter and we couldn't weed or water anything. But she's doing pretty well. She would go up that pretty quickly, I think. But yeah, nature walker. So she basically, we can actually read this. We can actually see what this actually says. Maybe you have to be out of it to read it. The sim wants to grow plants and become an expert gardener. Sims that are naturalists don't need to fear fire. It won't touch them, and they can extinguish it with ease, which is good because, you know, they keep setting fire to things in this house. So yeah, that is what her lifetime goal is, to be a gardener. She's got a job as a dirt digger in the gardening career just to help her along with that. Where's her traits? She's a collector because she has a nature aspiration. She was a happy toddler. She has good manners because as she was growing up, her manners were high enough. She's a bookworm, she's a geek, and she's a bro. She got dubbed Brotato on the last live stream. So she's a geek, she's a bookworm, she's a bro, and she is a nature lover. So yeah, that is Potato Jones as she stands at the moment. She's the eldest, she's the only female, and those are her traits. She is option number 1. Then there's the twins. The first twin born and the oldest twin was this enraged badger. Is it a badger? Is it a skunk? I'm not sure. Look at that face. This is Chip. This is Chip. Chip is outfits. Change outfits. Chip is... he enjoys bear suits. He enjoys bear suits quite a bit. We'll change him into his one and only non-bear suit attire because I genuinely thought if we put him in a bear suit in summer, he would roast to death. I don't know why he has an earring actually, but okay. He's still enraged. So this... that's a bad expression. This is Chip, the eldest of the twins. Chip took a phase when he was a child. Oh, that's not a good expression. He looks quite like Sam. Chip took a phase when he was a child that he wanted to wear his bear suit everywhere, and he never grew out of that phase for whatever reason. It's probably the same reason that they all had demon eyes and that they're blonde despite the fact that both their parents have dark hair and all sorts of other crazy things that have gone astray in this household. For some reason he never grew out of the phase. So when he aged up to a teenager, the phases do stop on the age up to a teenager, but we thought in keeping with his character as he was developing, we gave him bear suits. So he has a wide array of bear suits. We have always said throughout the stream, he's not been the favourite, let's be honest. We've always said throughout the stream that if he doesn't get chosen as an heir, he's going to go off to a cabin in the woods and live with the 2 extra extra puppies and just, in his fursuits and just, be that strange person in the woods. But this is Chip, all the same. He's still an option. He's still a running candidate. He's the oldest of the two twins. His lifetime aspiration is to be a super parent. He wants to be the best parent ever. His trait reward is a role model. Role models provide bonus character value gain when near toddlers, children, or teens, which is bizarre considering some of his life choices. But nonetheless, he wants to be a super parent. Now, obviously, he hasn't got very far with that because as a teenager, he can't actually become a parent. So he has none of this done. But that's what he wants to do with his life. He does not yet have a job. And let's see what his symbology is. He was a happy toddler. He's domestic because he has a family aspiration. And he was a happy toddler. He doesn't have any extra traits because none of his character values were high enough to gain him any extra traits, so he doesn't have any extra traits. He's also a bookworm. Like Potato, he is also a bookworm. But he is a hot-headed bookworm, which means he tends to be angry, which is why he's probably enraged. He can rile up other Sims and become angry when targeted with mischief, which is, unfortunate considering his father and his brother. But yeah, and he was meant to be a snob. We've been randomly generating their traits, and he came up with snob, but I misclicked because I was in a rush to end the stream, and he's now a slob instead. But it's still random, I guess. So he's a slob, he's hot-headed, he's a bookworm. So he's a real catch, our Chip. He's a real catch. And he wants to be a super parent. I don't know how all of this is going to mix into being a super parent, but I'm sure he can make it work. So that's Chip, the second eldest and the eldest of the two twins. Now, we thought Chip was... we did not know that Chip was going to be a multiple birth. We thought we were having one baby. So Chip popped out, we named him Chip, and that was fine. And the next thing you know, a second dialogue box pops up. So Dip was the surprise. Look at this cheeky face. Dip was the surprise extra child that we were not anticipating on. I don't know what he's eating. He's eating birthday cake. They're still at their birthday party. Forgive me. So this is Dip. Dip is the baby of the family. He's he's the baby of the family. He's the youngest. He's excelled so much in everything he's done. His name is Dip. So it's Potato, Chip, and Dip. He wants to be an archaeology scholar, so we kind of envisioned this as kind of like a Tomb Raider style thing, in keeping with the family's criminal backgrounds. We kind of imagined a Tomb Raiders type thing. Now, obviously, he hasn't been able to do any of this because they haven't been able to go on holidays or anything like this, but what he wants to do is understand archaeology. Museum patrons like museum, he likes museums, which also works because he's quite creative, as you'll see in a moment, and he's into classical music. He plays a bit of violin and things like this. He does not have a job yet because he's literally at his own birthday party and has only just aged up, but his skills are quite good. He's where is his skills? 3 in video gaming, 3 in violin, 2 in programming, 2 in handiness, 2 in cooking. Dip's a very accomplished young man. He's got a lot of stuff going on for him. He was also an A student. He was on the the top level of his childhood and teenage school thing. He was getting straight A's. He was doing extra credit work. He was excelling in almost every area, and he was pretty good. The problem is that Dip, he's a quick learner because he has a knowledge aspiration. He's very intelligent. He was very good at school. He's obviously got a knowledge-based thing, so he's a quick learner. He's creatively gifted from completing the artist prodigy aspiration. He was so good as a toddler. He was a creative toddler, and he was so into all the music and the drawing and the art that he actually was an artistic prodigy. And he completed his childhood aspiration entirely, so he's got an extra trait there as well. He was a happy toddler, and his traits are creative, obviously. Outgoing, he quite likes socializing and all that kind of thing, and evil. He really, really enjoys when everyone else is miserable. So if everyone else has a terrible holiday, the holiday events and season, if everyone else has a terrible holiday, Dip has a great holiday. He just feeds off of the misery of other Sims. It's quite disturbing, but he's also quite angry. He used to shout forbidden words all the time. Just if you were, no matter what you were doing, if you zoomed around the house, he'd just be whatever he was doing, eating, reading, whatever he was doing, he'd just be shouting random curse words at himself or at anyone else. And sometimes he'd come home from school and he'd just go upstairs to his sister's room, and they had this giant teddy bear, and he'd just beat the crap out of this giant teddy bear for no apparent reason. He used to break his sister's dollhouse a lot as a child as well. He's quite a violent, quite an angry soul is our Dip. But listen, he's such an overachiever. He was a charming toddler. He's so creative, and he's such a high achiever that, you know, you kind of forgive him for it. But he is the youngest. So between the three, we have Potato and Chip and Dip. Those are the choices. We were going to choose a dog as well, but then we managed to bring Bumbledore back from the dead, so we now have a ghost dog. So we're going to keep the ghost dog and get rid of the other two, and then that'll clear out our house for the next generation. So in preparation of continuing on to generation number 3, we need to clear up some space in the house, which means 2 of these 3 children have to go, and 2 of these 3 dogs have to go. We've already decided which dog we're keeping, so we need to decide which child we're keeping. Now, there was some suggestion on our last live stream of getting the pufferfish nigiri recipe and making them all some pufferfish nigiri, which can be fatal if not made by a suitably skilled chef, and just seeing who survived. But I did air the fact that, you know, there was potentially no one would survive that, and that could be the end of our challenge one generation in. So I think we'll leave it. I think we'll go for voting right now, and we'll see how it goes later on down the line if we want to get a bit more wild and wonderful with our heir choosing methods. But for right now, we're going to have a straw poll. The straw poll is going to be linked below, and whatever the outcome is on Sunday, we are going to kick some people out of this house. Until then, folks, thank you for joining me, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.